Yamanumarang, Auntie Sharon. Yinagalango Giberbungo. Guam Banado Nino Rodrigo Nick Normango. Rodri Mangada. Nino Giamani Yani. Yindamar Norigua. Yindamar Rodri Norma. And Mandangua. And translated, I've said, hello, how are you? My name is Sharon. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all here to Wiradjuri country, and Wiradjuri people are happy that you have come. Respect each other and respect Wiradjuri country, and thank you. Ngurra, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the programs that we run in our Aboriginal corporation. For me, my background, I work for national parks for nearly 20 years as a heritage officer and a frontline firefighter, so professional firefighter background and heritage with parks with the agency. But before that, I coordinated our Aboriginal Homework Centre, and I've always lived rural on property. So I've always lived on a farm and looked after country. So yeah, I don't live in town. But through my time with national parks, build a lot of skills and ability, and to bring back to my people, my community. So when you get skilled up in Aboriginal community, when you're in regional areas across Australia, really, you're meant to give back to your people and support them. So for me, it was giving back to my mob and helping them get them upskilled, because we can see the gaps in our community of what they need, what the community needs are. And they don't need another policy written on them by government, by people that think that's a good idea for us. Things that we need to do to care for our culture, our community and ourselves, So part of that journey was I was made redundant from the agency, as was multiple other people. That was just before the big fires came. So we all sort of looked at that and went, that was a smart move, National Parks. You got rid of all your experienced firefighters, and then we got hit with the Black Summer stuff. So there's a lot to be said in government controlling our heritage and, those things. And in fire management in particular, they really should consider how First Nations people manage country with fire, because it's really significant and it plays a major role for future life of our natural ecology. So part of that journey was getting funds for the community to continue doing on-ground works and care and for country programs, because we've got a reserve of land that we look after, Myingamaragu, and we had that declared as an Aboriginal place back in 2006, I think it was, 2007. And that was an overnight decision by the minister because it was such a significant place. So part of that journey, doing all those things, like it's all slow steps, and then you've got to wait for the next grant to be able to do the next thing. And I said, this is no good, because you get people that need work, and then in the time frame of waiting for work, for the next grant, they've got jobs somewhere else, or things, they just don't stick. So that was the need to build this Rangers program and get that going so we can get people employed, and we're on ground all the time and putting in 100%, caring for country. But part of that journey come this program, and this is just one little program that we've been doing, and this is funded through the Black Summer bushfire. So in that, I engaged a fire training group that was called Fireground, and we were the first pilot Aboriginal group that they've done fire training with, because they deliver fire training on that professional level. So it's not the BF through RFS. We do 2 days to learn how to drive the fire truck and the workings around the tanker and stuff. For me, that's not teaching people how to manage fires, coming from a professional firefighting background. And for me, equally, if our people are going to be doing cultural burns, we live in, a pretty hot spot here, bushfire capital. So if our people are going to be doing cultural burns, they need to learn how to work fires on a professional level too. So therefore the Rangers program, when the big fires are on, we've got a team of people that can be paid like the professional firefighters to go work those fires when the big fires are on. But for us, The rules are they must have fire training, they must have this and that if they want to do cultural burns. So I thought, all right, we'll put them through the training. But we're not putting them through RFS, we're going to put them through professional firefighting stuff. So Fireground are the ones, the agency that lead our training in firefighting. So through that journey, the last couple of years, we've been running these programs, and I'll just give you a bit of a few pictures of what we how we went about doing it. So this was held down at Walgan Valley at a property called Cranbrook School. So Cranbrook School have got a property down there, and we use their facility for quite a lot of things like NAIDOC. We do stuff out the bush, or we'll do cultural camps, run cultural camps for them, and the fire training and whatever else we need it for. So Cranbrook School, Walgan Valley, and it's absolutely gorgeous down there. This is a shot of our dancers before we'd done our cultural burn. The dancers come in to do a ceremony to light up, and someone else was there with a drone, so we got some pretty good drone shots, and everyone was a bit excited. So anyway, they're posing for the drone. And that's the Rick RC and them fellas. So that's the first group. I think there was about 3 groups that went through, and it was our community, like Aboriginal community, and the landowners. So for the landowners, it was preparedness in them being prepared for when the next event comes through, because you've got a lot of people out there that aren't aware of how fires work and what goes on when big fires happen, no communications and things like that. So through this training for our people and them, it was getting them all prepared for when that next event comes around, and for them to be prepared and make more logical decisions. Do you want to stay and try and defend, or do you want to pack up and get out now, because your life will depend on it? And all through this training, that we tell the participants, you must take this seriously, and when we're doing the scenarios, you must take those seriously, because if this was a real life situation, you'd be dead. You wouldn't be telling the story. So your life matters in this, and it matters to everybody else as well. So you're there as a team, you learn to work in a team, and yeah. So that's the classroom. So I got in trouble for that photo, because they put my photo up there, but I'm like, oh, you all look so proud, and I'm bad luck, I'm using it. So that's 2 of the community girls and one of the landowners all working together, and they just felt so proud and empowered by what they were learning in that classroom, because it's a week-long training room. And Russell in the background, the big fella, that's Russell Wall, he's the trainer. So this is getting them all ready. The firefighting unit there, that was the bushfire consultant group that I used to write up all our burn plans. So I had an ecologist. We work with ecologist Kate Hamill. So she does all our REF stuff for the burns to happen, and Duncan does the burn plans. But Duncan comes along with equipment as well. So we were able to use that equipment and less reliant on the big red fire truck. So it was quite interesting. The first year the fire truck couldn't turn up, they were too busy. And the last 2 rounds that we've done, they've gone, we're sorry, we've missed the first ones, because we want to see this keep going, because they could see the value in that. And then participants, it was quite heartwarming too, because in our community, Aboriginal community, a lot of people don't have skills, and they're not educated very well. So, and there's a lot of workbook stuff. So the last round of training, a young fellow walked in day 1, he come in off the street, and I thought, here we go. And day 2, he was ready to walk out the classroom. I can't do this. I can't read or write. And I said, that's all right. We can help you write your responses down. You just tell us what you want to say. And then what matters is when you're out there on them vehicles, like on the tools, can you demonstrate that you can start the pump, you know how to operate the hose, you know how to use a Rayco. That's what matters. And you know how to take instructions, because that really does matter in working fires. So this is to skill them up so they can do cultural burns too. So they're getting a certificate of a firefighter, but they're able to do cultural burns on the ground. So it's capacity building for that community. But by the end of that week, like day 2, this young fella was walking out, and I had a little yarn with him that afternoon, and I said, you're not going anywhere, you're staying here and we're going to get you through this. And by the end of the program, it was so heartwarming. He nearly had me in tears, but he was in tears, and he's like, he didn't smile the whole time. And at the end of the week, he was smiling, and he's like, Aunt, I've never been given this opportunity. I haven't smiled for such a long time. You've reconnected me with my culture and all these great things. And for me, if we get 1 or 2 people getting through that system and feeling good, walking out of that, feeling more confident within themselves, that's a win for us, you know, because it's helping build their skills and their confidence to be able to keep walking forward. Because when we deliver cultural things, when we're dancing and things like that, Uncle Ralph and that will always say, we walk forward, we don't walk backwards. When the kangaroos, you know, when we're doing kangaroo dance or whatever, they don't go backwards, we only go forwards. So no matter what challenge in life gets thrown at you, you've got to work through that and stay solid and keep walking forward so things can happen for the future. So it was quite an interesting journey, but quite heartwarming. And for the participants, it was quite intense. So it was really good because they had never experienced all that sort of stuff. So yeah, drafted water, working in a team, getting them all used to the equipment. And it was really good. You can see them there, teamwork happening. And these are people that don't know each other, you know. Some have never met before, and so you got black fellas, white fellas, and mixed bucket, but they're all in there together, working together. And they've all made new friendships. So more working in a team. Look at them. They're a funny bunch. And the fella in the beanie, and I can't tell which photo it is. I think it's that far photo. He's an old work colleague of mine too. So I come with 20 years professional firefighting. He comes with 30. So he's another one that worked for national parks, and now he's out. So, but we're delivering training on fire management. So the burn area, this is before. A comparison shot before and after. So when we do the training, we do like a conventional burn for the training, but then we'll go and do a cultural burn and then compare the difference. And when you do the cultural burns, it's, you know, you're looking at the holistic landscape, the insects, and, you know, you're looking at things that give you, they title them triggers, but I don't like talking in government titles. It's like when the season will tell you when it's right to burn, and it's not textbook, you know. It's walking out on country, feeling the grass, looking at the insects, you know, behaviour of those sort of things, and yeah, feeling your grasses and working out whether it's a good time to burn or not. So yeah, there's special things there. Like in the country, we just say if it's hayed off, it's good to go. But there's a technical talk around that too. But we just talk how we talk. So yeah, it's interesting. More of their training. It was quite good because they come out of there and they were sweating, and you know, there was pumps and action and people, because there's a lot of that on the fire ground. And you've got to just be able to take those instructions. So through the training, there was a few that demonstrated that, oh, it's just training, she'll be right. And that's when I sort of had a bit of a talk to them and said, listen, you must take it serious because, and that was in a burnover exercise. So if you can't get that exercise right and you're in the situation, you won't be living to tell the story. So you want to avoid that situation to start with altogether. A lot of smoke. So these were just a couple of shots that they, you know, on the day. And a happy little group, all proud. And there was some feedback. I don't do all the book face stuff, but that was a couple of the, I don't know if you, can anyone read those? But it was nice bits of feedback from what we'd done, what we'd achieved. Notice my daughter, she's in the uniform inspecting us. She's like a watcher. Like, you know, make sure you dance right, because I'm gonna let you know. But she's a very strong girl. And the trainer, that was so funny, Russell walking in the background, and we'd just done, like, you know, the professional firefighting all week, PPE, 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 got your gear on, and then it's like, right, we're doing cultural burns now. Get that gear off, take your shoes off. So, you know, encourage people to go barefoot and light up. So that's exactly what we did, you know, that's how you do it. So Russ is walking in the background going, Auntie, Sharon, there goes all my training out the window. But they could see the value in that. So, and because it was a pilot program for Fireground, they've actually, since they've worked with us, they've picked up on other communities. So they've been out at Burke delivering fire training for their communities to do cultural burns. South Coast, they've been Queensland, they've been all over the place. But what they deliver is really good stuff. So they'll be back here in November to finish off these first lots that have done level 1, and they'll get their public safety certificates. So it's, you know, giving people real certificates and, you know, achievements in what they've been doing, but they've been having the ball doing it. That's a really good shot. So yeah, a bit of a comparison to the cultural burn and the conventional burn. You see, yeah, that cultural one, we've just blackened it right out, and no fuel, so lit with grasses and things, and the other side's lit with drip torches. So you can see chemical in the ground, like all that's going to impact on the natural ecology. So, you know, while you're lighting the fire, you're killing all the insects and the native bees that live underground and all that at the same time. So how can that be good fire management, you know? It's not hard to get a bit of dry grass and walk along and light up. Chainsaw training, that was part of the fire training modules too. Getting people skilled up on their chainsaw use, because a lot of them landowners all bought chainsaws because they bought a block of land, but they've never picked one up before. So that's a bit scary to me. You can lose a leg, you can lose your life using a chainsaw. So if you're going to use a chainsaw, you make sure you're trained properly and putting our community and the landowners through that. And that actually attracted other government agencies. So we had Sydney Catchment wanting seats in the training for the fire training and the chainsaw stuff. So there's a fella there in the middle photo holding the chainsaw. He actually works for Sydney Catchment, and he's one of my old work colleagues, because I used to look after the catchment here out the back of Oberon sort of thing down at Urandry. So we both worked in the same area. I was National Parks and he was SCA. So it was good to catch up with Glenn, because we haven't seen each other for such a long time. And there's Russ, our trainer, and there's my daughter on the log. The first picture, that's Patsy. Yeah, and for Patsy, she's grown up on a farm, watched mum and dad use chainsaws all her life, and for her, it was her first time picking up the chainsaw, but I'm glad it was with Russell, because she hasn't got a dad anymore. He passed away recently, and Russ really built her confidence in working the chainsaw. But because she's grown up on that farming background, and she's been with mum and dad using chainsaws, she's sort of, it's a bit like when you learn to drive, you watch, and you know what you're doing. So when she went to pick it up, it was like she'd been using it for 10 years. So, yeah, so it was really good to put people like that through professional training like that with a person like Russ, because he's very good at what he does. And it's working safely, you know, that safe work. Me on the log, the damage we did to the poor log. And to be continued. But I haven't even filled in all the other photos yet, because I got all these other photos from the last 2 programs, and it's haven't had time to put them in because I've been busy writing grants and trying to get the Rangers program happening, and that's been a process of its own. So for all these processes, and you know, it's like it's like getting through a bloody spider web and getting out of it. But we will. So we're determined to make things happen, to improve the lives of our people and to create opportunities. So they need to work and they need to be upskilled to be able to do that. But then through our program, we'll have long-term ones that'll stay, and then we'll have ones like in them leadership roles, but the ones that come through the training, that are there for that short term, it'll help build their confidence to be able to look at a job application and put one together. Like if you threw framework capabilities at our community, no one would ever work ever again, because no one's going to weave through that process. Because even us as in that department in national parks, when that turned around, it was when we all got our jobs, it was on our skills and knowledge and ability of what we could do. And this other way, it's like it's a robotic system, and nobody can talk like that. And the ones that can talk like that, can they actually do the work? Because they don't come with those skills. So you can talk fancy all you like, but to get the real people that need these jobs and these services, it's not the way to do it, because it just turns people away, like they haven't got the skills and the ability to do it. But they're certainly equipped or got the ability to do the work. Like you're employing a field officer to go and do field work. How can you put them through framework capability and talk a heap of jargon that they don't even understand to say, yes, I'm able to do fencing, I'm able to spray chemicals, I'm able to do pest management, wild dogs or pigs or whatever. But to turn it into that. So through this program, it'll help the community build the capacity to be able to get through those processes. So, because they're not great. They're not ideal. Any questions?
How widespread is the Rangers program?
Well, that's interesting. We've been trying to get this Rangers program going for a long time, like years. And the process around what the community's had to do, because what's unique about the way we're doing it, through all the fire training and all the rest of it, we're not associated or attached to a government department like Parks, Land Services, that are running these little programs that lead nobody anywhere, It's us owning it and us doing it. So we have to take the longer, harder road, where we haven't got that clever little person there that can just do all this and make it all happen. It's that long, hard road to get it happening, but then it's the process. So it's the registration, like even just to get it registered. And next week I'll have a meeting with NIA, and that's the fund. So that's about the next phase in that process. But I don't think there's a lot of ranger programs across the state. Like they are nationally, but I don't think there's that many. Like there's one down the south coast. I think there's one that's just established at Tamworth. There's only a few, probably a small handful, but majority of them are run by a department. So with us, ours is not run by a department, it's solely run and owned by us. So, and then I'm listening to the radio before the Voice to Parliament stuff the other week, and I'm listening to all this stuff, talking about NIA and all these agencies, and, it's just redneck stuff. But for me, as an Aboriginal woman, been working through this process to get that Rangers program on ground, I felt like picking up the phone and going, well, this is how much that department has closed the gate on our people. So that department need to open the gate and let the people in that need to access that fund to look after their communities. So, we'll be a smaller, like a small group in the state, but another Rangers program. So there's not that many Rangers programs. But with ours, it'll be solely our program. And that's what's important, because we have to look after our own things.